Good evening, everyone. Hope you all have had a wonderful week. Today is Thursday, December 29th. We're going to be going over what has occurred over the past few days on the ES futures contracts here. We're going to be looking at what occurred yesterday and what occurred today and how you could have possibly traded it. First things first, we need to break down what's been happening on the daily, the monthly, the daily, the weekly, and the monthly, just so you understand a little bit more. It's best to know what's happening on the larger time frame so you have a better understanding of what to do in the intraday whenever you're day trading. So for me, let's go ahead and break down the monthly. Oh, that is the weekly and default. So the monthly is in a balance. How do we know it's in a balance? Well, we've just been basically trading inside this large range, right? Obeying this downtrend line, just balancing in between here at the low of 35.0225, and then my balance high is 43.2750 back in August. That's the balance high. How do we know it's a balance high? Well, we were at one point in time trend down on the monthly, meaning we were taking out monthly lows back to back to back. Then we had an inside month come July, right? So we were trend down on the monthly, taking out setting lower lows from April, May, June, and then July. We had that inside month. Come August, we popped the top after that inside month. Attempted to come up um, into the month of April, but we couldn't get much into it as we had a trend there. 200-day moving average at the time was around that area as well. So we backed off, right? Once we backed off, got back July's uh, inside July's month. Price backs down, putting us into a monthly balance. We attempted in September to push lower. We attempted to come out of the balance low, which at the time would have been June's low. We didn't get much for it. We attempted to come out of it in September and October. Didn't get much for it. And then November, after setting those new lows, November pops these highs of October, putting the monthly back into a balance. So the monthly balance is 35.0225 to 43.2750, just trading inside this large range. You see I've marked an area here where there's a pretty significant amount of resistance around the 4100 level. It's just an area I like to keep an eye on. Let's go into the weekly. The weekly is also in a balance. You can see uh, we have been one time framing down on the weekly back to back weeks. We took out this multi-week balance low here at 39.1375. Took out that balance low. Attempted to trend down. So far this week has been an inside week. We haven't taken out last week's low or last week's high. The next weekly target would have been, if we continue to trend down on the weekly, 37.50. So the weekly broke out of that balance that we were in from 39.1375, that weekly low there, and then had this outside week down where we attempted to come out of balance to the upside, but only stretched it at 41.41. Had an outside week down, trend down, took took it out last week, and then this week just an inside week with a small range, light volume. Let's look on the daily, and then you can see I have here marked the monthly balance. You can see the monthly balance high up here, and then the monthly balance low. We're just trading inside that. Now let's go into the daily and look at what's occurring in the daily. Daily, you can see is just chopping around inside that large monthly balance. And then we have a daily balance. We had been attempting to trend down lower several days, right? After we attempted to break out of this trend line down, get above the 200-day moving average. We never found acceptance of higher price up there, so we began to roll over. We pushed down lower. We're one time framing down 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row. And then after that day on the 20th, we popped up and put the daily back into a balance on the 21st. Then we attempted to trend down on the 22nd. Didn't get much for it. And then we basically had 2 inside days back to back on the 23rd, last Friday, the 27th of this Monday, or yeah, 27th of this Monday, or Tuesday, excuse me, and then 28th yesterday, and then today the 29th. Just a large balance. You can use these these daily highs right here at 38.75.50 as balance highs, but your range would be much smaller, and ultimately your target would be up here. So for me, I'm finding more resistance where this 50-day moving average is located. You can see here 39.13 is where that 50-day moving average is located. But if you take note, I have that daily balance high from the 21st at 39.1875. So it's a little bit more of a visual area for me. So that's why I'm marking that as my balance high on the daily. We attempted to come down and test the balance low back from the 22nd, where we attempted to come out of balance but didn't get much for it. Yesterday's low was 38.0450. We got near it. Balance rules were in effect. Shorts began to cover. And guess what we had today? Short cover and rally. And you'll see that on the intraday. So, yesterday, after a failed attempt by the sellers to push this thing lower and break out balance to the downside, all we did was cover and push this thing back up to the upside. Now we look to test the 50-day moving average and the daily balance high if sellers cannot roll this thing over. Let's look on the intraday now. And you can see here on the intraday how I have marked the daily balance high, the daily balance low, so I can keep an eye on that. This is a 30-minute time frame that we're looking at. 30-minute time frame. This is the price action over the past several days. You got your balance high up here at 39.1875, right? Your balance low down here at 37.8850. You can see yesterday we attempted to get near that low. We got down to 38.0450. Didn't quite get near the balance low. And then today, what do? We open in the lower area of yesterday, or in the lower region of yesterday's range, push up, get the afternoon rally high from yesterday, and then shorts began to panic to push this thing up. Nice P shape on the day. P shape just basically means, looks like a P, right? If I were to draw lines over this, it looks like a P. That's for short covering, rally, or buyer stepping into the market. Because we extended this thing down to the short side, there wasn't enough liquidity, so guess what? That got absorbed in the overnight sessions and began to be distributed up higher throughout the real-time trading hours. So after we got above that afternoon rally high, your next daily target would have been this 11Y point of control up here at 38.6175 back on the 27th. You see price was, it's just where a high volume node would have been, essentially where the mean average was at, and guess what? We came and visited that today. Oh, I hate the way I zoomed in there. So after getting that afternoon rally high, you knew your next destination was the 11Y point of control. So A period after the open, you never seen it again. You pushed up, so you know you have buyers in this region because shorts were covering above that afternoon rally high right here. So I'm gonna mark it here just so you guys have more of a visual reference. I'll mark it from there to there. So you know how you have buyers there. So once A period got above this region, go ahead and mark this green. So once buyers got above this region, you knew there was a good chance you would go visit this 11Y point of control back from the other day at 38.6175, where the mean average was, high volume node, etc., whatever you want to call it. We got up to it in B period after taking out A's high in B. So this is the first time frame of the day. We'll label that A so you guys know that was the first 30-minute time frame. The second 30-minute time frame was here in B period. I just labeled it. So after A took out, or B took out A's high, right? Took out that first 30-minute time frame. You had a few things in your favor as a buyer. You had value, which is highlighted here in the blue brackets. Value was higher. Indices were up. You had taken out the overnight high at the time, I believe. If I were to go, we'll look at that later, but you've taken out the overnight high at the time, and you're what we call one time framing up by taking out the first time frame's high, right? So you're one time framing up, you go to that 11Y point of control, you wait to see what happens in B period if it continues to push higher towards these daily highs, because that's your next target, right? After you get in this 11Y POC, your next target is those daily highs back from the 28th and the 22nd. You see B period had pulled back a little bit, and right where it closed, you have what we call single prints. And you can see a pretty significant thing is we held these set of single prints, or an area where shorts were caught were trapped, short position. Shorts were trapped in this area, meaning if you pull back to it, you should find a bid in this area. As you can see, we did that in, I believe, D period. Let me see. So you got C period and D period that provided two opportunities to buy on a pullback. So C opened up immediately and pushed up higher. The low was 38.6175 and its open was 38.6175. Pretty powerful thing when you open and push up right away. If I were to go here on the 5-minute time frame and show you guys, here on the 5-minute time frame what this looked like, you can see that here in C period you had pulled back into that time frame or into those single prints, found support where buyers were at, and bounced up higher, taking out B's time frames high right around 38.68, and C's high was 38.70. Actually, no, it wasn't. C's high was 38.7150. You had another opportunity here in D period, pulled back to that green area that we marked where single prints are. Guess what? Bounce, and then you never see it again. This was a much larger move second time round. Once that pullback in D period happened, you got about a 20-point run to the upside. So that's why single prints are so important on the intraday time frame, and why you should know how to mark them and where to look for them on the 30-minute time frame, right? So you understand why there's buyers in that area. Shorts were trapped here because they were shorting on the way up, thinking you're not going to go get these daily highs, but knowing that bulls had stuff in their favor, you could buy against that set of single prints in D period, provide a great opportunity. You take out a couple contracts here at 38.7550, 38.80, near the high 38.81. Get out because your next target is 39.05. Once you've seen volume and tempo kind of dry up here in E period, once you've seen volume kind of dry up and tempo not really push this thing higher, you know to get out of the trade. So you would have gotten flat, and that's what occurred here later in the day. Buyers were getting, any laggard buyers were getting caught up here. Shorts were kind of providing the bid, but anybody that was getting long wasn't making much money above these daily highs. They had opportunities, but never really could push up to that 9Y point of control from the 21st at 39.05. So tomorrow we'll see what happens. Um, we'll see what occurs tomorrow. Let's go ahead and mark these destinations. We got today's low day at 38.29. So it's always important to mark your low days, your high days on the 30-minute time frame. Things like the single prints, I'm going to show you how to mark here in just a second. Low day 12.29. Boom. Single prints. So you started at A's high right here. So the first time frame, A. The tie was 38.57. So that's where we'll mark this thing. It's 38.57 because that's the high that got taken out, right? We'll mark it green. Single prints would fill at this area. And I'll explain what I mean by that here in just a second. So, probably thinking, why wouldn't they start there? Well, they get filled there. They don't start until right here where C or where D pulled back at 38.61.50. Single prints 12.29. So single prints would start there. Why do they start there? Well, because you know single prints is an area, once you're on the upside, is an area where you should find a bid. So pulling back into this area, you know, single prints are here, so they start here. If you have enough supply, then they should fill this gap, this intraday gap, or this area where you should be finding buyers. If there's enough supply, they they will tear through the buyers. You'll tear through the bids in this area that I just have highlighted here and fill the set of single prints. So what does that mean? Well, tomorrow if you pull back into it where the single prints start at D's low, you can get long at 38.61 and then you would get out below that where the single prints fill because then you would know there was a lot of supply. Sellers were pushing this thing down lower because you should find bids here, should find buyers in this range between 38.61.50 and 38.57. But if they get filled, then you know your out is anywhere back inside of A's range because you know there's a good opportunity. There isn't anything stopping them until you get to B's low, 38.52. That stop gets ran. Then you don't have anything but a vacuum until 38.29. So that's a pretty large risk. So you get in anywhere between 38.60. Your out's 38.57. You risk 3 points. And you look to potentially gain back up to the high of day today. Let's go ahead and mark that. Actually, we had a wide point of control here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I actually have a 9 wide point of control here at 38.75. So point of control mean 9 wide, 12.29. So we'll mark that as a destination. It's an upside destination. Then you have today's high at 82.75. I'll mark that red because you should find sellers there if they want to protect it. High day 12.29. So now we look at our destinations, right? So because we closed at 38.72, right? 38.72.25 is where we closed. Below the 9 wide point of control. So if we open up in this range tomorrow and we can't get up to this 9 wide point of control, then it'll mean that there's supply. Then you'll look to come down and fill in this poor structure here where the single prints are, where you should find buyers. If you find buyers in this set of single prints and it holds, then you should come back up and test 38.75. Okay, that's one scenario. Another scenario is if we can't get above 38.75, then you'll fill the set of single prints and look to come back to the low of day. So sellers would have to be pretty strong by then. Now, however, another scenario is if we get above 38.75, then you should go and take out today's high day at 38.8275 and then trade up into this 39.05 9-wide point of control from 12.21. And then after that, you get above and continue to find acceptance, acceleration of price. You should go and see 39.1875. Also, good chance that if you cannot find any acceptance above 38.75, you could just trade around and chop around in this range. Nothing saying you can't. Nothing saying you can't trade around 38.57 and 38.82. You can just chop around in this upper distribution. Lower distribution is A's high to the day's low. Upper distribution is D's low to the day's high, right? So double distribution day, distribution was absorbed here and redistributed up here, right? Inventory was absorbed and distributed. So that's all that means. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you understand a little bit more about how to mark on a 30-minute chart, technical analysis, a little bit more in depth from a profile standpoint, and how single prints can help your trading uh, when you're trading on a larger time frame and looking at a 5-minute chart. Uh, if you were to look here once again, just to reiterate how important a set of single prints is, you can see you never revisited where I have those set of single prints marked, right? Great buying opportunity, and then you went and made a new high on the day. You were one time framing up, meaning you were taking out previous time frames highs, or otherwise known as setting higher highs, higher lows. You stayed above the 9 EMA on your 5-minute chart, which is also a very bullish thing. And then obviously it's bearish if you're staying below it. Stayed above VWAP, never seen it, things of that nature. Those are things that can help you in the future. That's why I like to look at the market profile. That's why I like to understand things like single prints, and that's how they help me when I take trades. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you in the next one. Hope you all have a wonderful day.